that people were telling me, business owners were like, we need to rejoin. It was there. People are activated about it. But for some reason, Keir Starmer thinks it's good to, keep the Tory vote, please the Tories. No one likes the Tories. They were voted out unprecedented in an unprecedented landslide, like the worst Tory defeat since World War II. We don't have to listen to them. He doesn't have to listen to a single one of them. No one wants them. No one wants them in government, and no one wants them out. Britain voted them out. We can stop speaking to them. We can stop trying to please all of their voters and start providing what Britain actually wants, which is to rejoin the EU.
So I'm really excited to welcome Caolan Robertson to my channel. Caolan and I have been friends for years, since he first came to our farm to record some filming about farming and Brexit. And Caolan right now is out in Ukraine and doing some fantastic work on the war out there. So I thought it would be great to connect with him and give you some information about what's going on out there in Ukraine and how that impacts us over here in the UK. So hi, Caolan.
Hey, how have you been? It's so nice. It's so nice to see you again. It's been like 6 months.
Well, I hope you're keeping safe out there. It's quite scary.
Yeah, well, I'm in Odessa now, which is where it's on the Black Sea in the south of Ukraine. I'll show you for a sec what it looks like. It looks like this. There's the Black Sea. Crimea is just over there, and the rest of Ukraine is in the north. So it's pretty safe here. The city gets hit by missiles every day. Another one this morning, but they haven't landed in this little neighborhood in the last couple of days. So it's kind of quiet.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'd describe that as quiet, but yeah. And so, as you know, my pet subject is Brexit, and we have our new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, out in meeting the German Prime Minister, Olaf Scholz. And part of those negotiations are around security, which we have some leverage. But really, in my view, a lot of these issues do connect together, and it really enforces why the UK needs to be back joined and closer to the EU rather than where we are now as Brexit Britain. But if there were to be peace between Russia and Ukraine, I don't know what that would mean for Brexit Britain.
Well, most of the polling says that most of Britain wants to rejoin. Keir Starmer is the most slow-moving, people-pleasing, bureaucratic, old-fashioned type of politician. So he's, everything's slow-moving, everything's overly cautious, when, in fact, Britain wants to rejoin today. And if we had a vote tomorrow, then Britain would be back in the EU if they let us. So it's kind of depressing. I used to do streeters all the time across the UK and ask people about Brexit. And the last streeters that I did across the UK just before the election, everyone was saying that they would rejoin. They were saying they missed the EU. People in towns across the UK told me this year that they look back at Britain when it was in the EU as if it was the glory days, as if it was the good old days when the price of a pint was half what it was now, when inflation wasn't as high, when you could get stuff delivered from France really easily, when you could send your kids wherever they wanted in Europe, and when you could go on holiday without queuing up for 10 hours and getting a headache. People look back with nostalgia as Britain in the EU now, and that's how people described it to me.
I am just so fed up of hearing politician after politician say, oh, we have to obey Brexit, and all it matters is Brexit voters. And there is, this is 8.5 years ago since the vote. 8.5 years ago since the vote, which was predicated on promises for cheaper shoes, cheaper food, and that life was going to be glorious and we could be sailing off all around the world, being, in charge of the whole world. And all they can say is that everybody voted to stop freedom of movement. And nowhere on the ballot paper did it actually say that. In fact, most of the Brexit politicians in the vote were going around saying, no, Brexit doesn't threaten our place in the single market. So I'm just sick of the lies. The lies are still continuing today. I'm just absolutely infuriated by it. And I feel like throwing eggs at Keir Starmer when he keeps telling me that he's not going to betray Brexit, because the majority, as you said, are rejoiners, and he's just totally and utterly stamping and treading on us. Almost the same sort of thing that actually Vladimir Putin would do. It's anti-democratic. illiberal and wrong.
Yeah, completely. And it's not just the British population sort of passive, the British population isn't just sort of passively, yeah, I think things would be better in the EU. Yeah, like the things that people were telling me, business owners were like, we need to rejoin. It was there, people are activated about it. But for some reason, Keir Starmer thinks it's good to, keep the Tory vote, please the Tories. No one likes the Tories. They were voted out in an unprecedented landslide, like the worst Tory defeat since World War II. We don't have to listen to them. He doesn't have to listen to a single one of them. No one wants them. No one wants them in government, and no one wants them out. Britain voted them out. We can stop speaking to them. We can stop trying to please all of their voters and start providing what Britain actually wants, which is to rejoin the EU. And yeah, you're right. It's been 8 years. All of the promises have none of the promises have come to fruition. Every single thing has turned out to be a lie. And the most democratic thing that can be done, the most democratic thing, is to put a vote to the British people to say, this is what you've had for 8 years. This is what you were promised. Are you happy with it? Do you want to go back to how things were? That's democracy in action. Doing a vote is democracy. And the people that still go on Talk TV and still go on GB News, the people that did Brexit, are the ones saying that this is undemocratic. It's undemocratic to lie to people and then to steal their vote and to not deliver on any of those promises. That isn't democracy. So these people are horrendous.
And a lot of them are anti-vaxxers as well, and pro-Putin, and pro-Trump.
Yeah. And it's the same people as well that pushed all of these lies in government. Jacob Rees-Mogg, etc., are now the television hosts on their own channels, which is in a lot of ways a huge position of power in Britain. Information is everything. Information is power, and information is how you create an informed voting population. Information informs people's votes. And they're spewing this stuff out on their airwaves, the same stuff they did 8 years ago on popular television shows. And that's so bad. And it's so bad for Britain.
Yeah, there is nothing good about Brexit, nothing at all. And the sooner we get rid of it, the better. Even if it's, we can't get rid of it quickly, but we definitely need to get rid of the red lines, which Theresa May defined on her own without any, as I said, the vote was in or out. The vote for out was meant to be cheap footwear, cheap food, and it was meant to be a golden bonanza for farming and all of this stuff. And then we're told that it's all about freedom of movement. I mean, it's just really maddening. Anyway.
Well, do you remember? It's and the logistics and the supply chain networks that it destroyed as well. I remember when I was in this country in 2023 here in Ukraine, and I could go to Kherson, which is 2 hours over there on the Black Sea, which is literally a besieged city, a city under constant artillery fire. And they had watermelons and they had fruits and vegetables that were not available on UK supermarket shelves. So you could get stuff from Moldova over there across a road that's being hit by the Russians every 2 minutes. And that more successfully than the impact that Brexit had on Britain. The impact of Brexit on Britain was actually more fucked up for the supply chain than the Russians bombarding these cities.
And get this, Brexit isn't finished because there's more checks coming in, which is going to make it even harder to get goods into Britain. And food production collapsing at a rate of knots here. And it's like, where is the food going to come from? It is going to be like a war zone here. Perhaps Ukraine will find peace and their shops will be full of lovely fruit and vegetables, and it'll be Britain that's rioting because there's no food. Anyway.
Yeah, and yeah, it's so depressing. And it was, I always found it really depressing just slowly watching Britain deteriorate. Because obviously I was a reporter for 4 years for Byline TV, and that slow and gradual change, the prices going up, towns deteriorating, the tourism decline, industries collapsing, all because of Brexit, happened over a period of 4 years. And in a lot of ways, people don't realize how bad it is because it's been gradual. It's a bit like Russia's war with this country, actually. It's been going on for 2 years. There was fatigue. It's slow. It's a few strikes a day. It's a few small movements a day. But if it all happened at once, people would be horrified. If Britain deteriorated overnight, like it has in the last 4 years due to Brexit, people would be shocked. They'd leave their house and think, what the hell has gone on to our country? I can't get bread anymore. I can't afford this anymore. I can't afford rent anymore. I can't go anywhere in Europe anymore. They would be absolutely horrified, but it's been slow. It's been a slow process. So if you put it all together, disaster. If you spread it out, it doesn't seem so bad. So God, it's crazy, and it's going to get worse. This is going to continue. Keir Starmer has no interest in delivering for the British people and doing and giving them what they want, which is to get back. So it's only going to get worse, and things are going to get more expensive. And the fishermen I spoke to, who are catching stuff in the seas now, who have less control over their waters, are going to retire. And they told me, and the lorry drivers told me, that their kids don't want to do those jobs anymore. And these were family industries. These are generational industries. Some of them for 300 or 400 years, and it ends now because of Brexit. They don't want their kids doing it, and their kids don't want to do it because their kids are in France fishing there instead.
Well, the truth of the matter is, much of the fish now that is actually being served on British plates is coming from Russia, which is shocking.
Yes, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I mean, I haven't followed what's going on in the really specific details of Brexit because I'm quite far away and I'm covering the war here. But is there what else is going on with it?
Well, last night, Keir Starmer gave a speech in the Rose Garden, in which he's telling everybody that life is only going to get harder, and that, but trying to blame it all on the Conservatives. But really, the British public have had enough of actually swallowing this news that things are going to get worse all of the time. They need some optimism. So businesses braced for steep tax rises. And a lot of wealth, I think, is packing their bags and looking to go, which is the last thing we need, because we should be looking to stabilise the country to actually welcome investment. That's what's missing since Brexit. We haven't had any direct foreign investment coming in because Britain's looked like a basket case. And one hoped that with the arrival of a majority Labour government, which is really pro-European because most of its MPs are pro-EU, that Keir Starmer is carrying on as if he's still leading the previous government, which were Conservative Brexiteers. And it makes zero sense to anybody. And it's causing a lot of, at the moment, there's quite a bit of anger, I think, and disappointment from most quarters. The train drivers and the public sector workers who got a big pay rise are happy. But as I said to them, you're happy at the moment, but if we continue with this Brexit madness and with the new checks coming in and with more pressure on business, their pay rise is not going to be worth anything because we're going to have more inflation, because more friction means more inflation. So we're still
Well,
locked in a mess.
that makes sense. Yeah, so Keir Starmer stands up and says life is going to get harder for people in this country and we're going to need to make some tough changes. Right, well, one of the easiest changes he could possibly make would be to provide a vote so Britain can rejoin the EU, so at least the people could have a bit of respite and go to Europe without queuing constantly and be able to... And if he does that, things will get cheaper in the UK, paperwork will be less difficult, industries will be suffering less, people can travel more freely, and the bureaucracy of a lot of stuff will be removed. That's one easy fix he could implement within 10 seconds. But no, everyone has to pay more tax. Everyone has to spend more money. Everyone has to get poorer. I mean, for God's sake, that is the classic easiest thing he could possibly do to make people's lives in Britain easier. And he's chosen to make it harder than it already is. And it's just so depressing.
Well, he pitched it in the hope that he's saying what I need. It's such a mess. I actually need 10 years, not 5. And it's just like, hang on a second, you've just won 5 years. You've got to earn the next 5 years. You don't get to be elected for 10 years. The only thing that got elected for nearly 10 years is bloody Brexit. And we don't need more of this, this pushing down of democracy. There needs to be more, people are feeling disconnected from politics. By behaving like this, I think it just only disconnects the politicians more away from the public. He's only concerned with having a long time in office. Well, most people are concerned with being able to afford to live and to actually be able to take their kids away to France on holiday.
Yeah, completely. No, it's so depressing because it's an easy fix. It was very easy for David Cameron to announce the Brexit vote, and it'd be very easy for Keir Starmer to announce the a vote
Caolan, all he's got
on
to do
rejoining.
is publish the Russia report, which again would be a win-win for him politically, and then just say, actually, this looks a bit dodgy, so I think we should have another vote again. Then no one's going to be against that, apart from the owners of the right-wing press, who will obviously have a fit about it. But we'll see what happens going forward. But there's so much turmoil with Germany and France both, with elections. Macron is made a stupid error, I think, with the decision to go to the polls after the European elections. And Germany is facing a rise of the far right. And so there's a lot of problems out here. And we wait and see if Trump is going to win, but at the moment it's not. We're hoping that that he doesn't, and the polls are looking good for Kamala Harris. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I suppose in one way, at least, we have got a majority government for the next 5 years in Britain. That is stable. But if there's food shortages and more riots, that government won't be secure, and we will face real problems.
Well, I wish you all the best over there, over in Britain, over in turmoil Britain.
Well, I think we should get together more often.
Yeah.
And catch up and keep people up to date and tie the two things together, and and then we can also look back in history and see what we were thinking and see if we were right.
Yes, true. And if we weren't right, then we can delete the video.
Yeah. No, I didn't say that.
No, that's
well,
good.
Well, look, stay safe. Make sure you wear your protective gear and your hat.
I do. I've just picked it up, actually. Where is that? I've just picked up the stuff, the stuff you need to protect yourself for when we go east into Ukraine, which should be coming up in the next week or so.
Well, I look forward to hearing all about it. Take care of yourself.
You too. Speak soon.
Speak soon.